If you guys want the fastest way to improve your aim, get some Control Freaks for cheap. Use code GOBLIN for 10% off and improve your aim today. Link in the description. Yo, what is up guys? It's the Goblin and welcome back to their Call of Duty video. Now today basically Activision and the CEO of Activision, Eric Hirshberg, put out their quarterly report and basically talking to their shareholders, talking about this World War II launch, how the game played out, and a little bit of what people can expect going into 2018 and next year's Call of Duty game. They actually put out quite a bit of info talking about Call of Duty 2018 and about the success of World War II, which we're going to talk about today. If you guys could drop a like on this video, let's go for 67 likes. That would be amazing if we could hit that. Of course, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new and not already subscribed, and let's talk about it. So basically Activision Blizzard, it's a huge company, and they put out every single quarter talking to the shareholders, people that are invested in this company, about their plans. And of course, people have this info and report on it, and basically, even though we are consumers of the product, there's some really cool info we can get here about what's going on in the business end of Activision Blizzard and how that affects different Call of Duty games. So they talk about Black Ops 3, World War II, and next year's Call of Duty in this report, and I'm going to bring you guys some of the highlights of it and what is really, really important. So this is coming straight from the mouth of Activision CEO Eric Hirshberg. What he says here, and I'll read different quotes of it. He says, "Before we talk about World War II, I think it's worth stepping back and talking about how pleased we are with the state of the Call of Duty franchise overall. Obviously, Call of Duty World War II was the #1 console video game in the world in 2017, and that makes Call of Duty the #1 franchise in the world in 8 out of the last 9 years. So this is just, reinforcing confidence. What he is saying is true. On console, there is not much competition for Call of Duty. 8 of the last 9 years, it's been the #1 selling. And of course, the 1 year where it wasn't was the GTA 5, I'm assuming, because that's the game that sells so much, but it only releases, that's like the only competition, and it's not even competition because it's a completely different game and a completely different release schedule. GTA will release one banger game every couple of years, every quite a few years, and Call of Duty does that consistent November release every single year. So that's what he was talking about with that. Next, he says, Call of Duty World War II also delivered the biggest launch quarter we've seen on current generation consoles, even higher than Black Ops 3. Now, this is a bold statement, basically saying the COD World War II launch was more successful on current gen consoles, which is Xbox One and PS4, than Black Ops 3's launch was, which is true. Part of the reason may be because more people have these current gen consoles now. If you guys remember Black Ops 3, it was actually on the old consoles as well, with pretty bad graphics and different things, but it was on Xbox 360 and PS3, and this year World War II is only on the new consoles, so that could contribute to that. But of course, they're trying to say World War II was a successful launch. Engagement on World War II has also been strong, not quite as strong as we've seen from the Black Ops franchise, which of course has been our stickiest games, but we have seen strong participation with our first 2 seasonal events, Winter Siege and the Resistance, and we have actually a more robust calendar of those types of events in the game than we've ever had before. So basically, they're talking about their new event system. They're saying people are staying engaged with this game and the player base is still very active on World War II, but Black Ops 3 is the stickiest game, and what they mean by that is even now in 2018, when Black Ops 3 came out in 2015, it still has a huge active player base, and that's one thing that they praise Treyarch for. And basically they're saying World War II is very, very successful, and so is Black Ops 3. So this is a great time for Call of Duty because they have multiple games that are very, very successful. And I think, Infinite Warfare probably has still a fairly decent player base, I would assume, but their 2 biggest games right now are obviously World War II and Black Ops 3. Next, what he says is, our strategy of bringing Call of Duty content to whatever game our fans are choosing to play is really continuing to pay off, because also in 2017, we saw that in Black Ops 3, the Zombie Chronicles piece was the #1 top-selling add-on content on PlayStation last year, which is all the more remarkable given that it was released almost 2 years after the launch of the original game. So, it seems that basically updating Black Ops 3, and even though it was an old game, putting out DLC for that one one, because the player base was still there, did make Activision a lot of money, and is a move that they're pretty proud of. So I think that we could expect that in the future, that if games, if this next year's game, if it continues to be played for years and years and years, they're going to keep updating it, which I think definitely is a pretty obvious move. I mean, do updates, pay attention to the game where you have the biggest player base. It seems like common sense, but it is also a bold move because they're basically, updating old games when they have new ones out. It definitely is something that's controversial, but I think they did the right thing with Black Ops 3 and continuing to update it. So that's what they've said about World War II and Black Ops 3. Basically, they're saying Black Ops 3 did great numbers and still is doing great, and World War II had one of their best launches ever, and now they're talking about next year's Call of Duty game. So this is what they say about that. That, of course, sets the stage for the game we have planned later this year, so 2018, which is being developed by our team at Treyarch. So they officially announced it. We all actually knew this game was going to be developed by Treyarch because of how the cycle goes. It goes Treyarch, then it goes Infinity Ward, then Sledgehammer, then Treyarch, Infinity Ward, Sledgehammer. I mean, that's just how the cycle's been going, and of course, that's what we all predicted. Like, I would have bet, I would have bet a lot of money on that one, them being the people to do it. I would have said 99% is going to be a Treyarch game again. So we were right about that one. And this is what they have to say about Treyarch and about the future of Call of Duty. Now, as you know, they have developed some of our most successful games ever, Treyarch, and they have proven time and time again that they know how to keep our players engaged for the long haul. I 100% agree with this statement. Treyarch is the top developer right now. After the success of Black Ops 3, it's pretty much undeniable, and they're basically saying, watch out, boys, because we have Treyarch developing our next COD. Overall, I'd say our strategy for Call of Duty is working. World War II is a blockbuster. We've got a thriving Black Ops community who's excited for the upcoming Treyarch-developed game. Now, this is a statement that I really pay attention with. Let me read that again, boys. This is the most important statement, I think, out of any of this info here. Basically, what they said here is we've got a thriving Black Ops community who's excited for the upcoming Treyarch-developed game. Notice they didn't say we've got a Black Ops 3 community. We've got a thriving Black Ops community who's excited for the upcoming Treyarch-developed game. Now, this leads me to believe that the rumors about Black Ops 4 are true. And I'm starting to think even more and more that this is going to be Black Ops 4. They've got a thriving Black Ops community. I mean, people still play BO2. BO1 is doing numbers on backwards compatible Xbox One, and BO3, we all know what that's doing. So this is looking really good. And I'm thinking it's going to be Black Ops 4, the rumors, all that sort of stuff. It's still rumors at this point, but this is looking good for people that want that, including myself. I'm really hoping for Black Ops 4. Of course, nothing's confirmed about that. Next, they say, I honestly really wish I could say more about what we have in the pipeline because I'm so excited about it, but it's suffice to say, I think we have the best 3-year slate in Call of Duty's history, which is really saying something given this franchise history. And I think we've got multiple different game universes that we know our players love on tap, so obviously more to come on that. So that's interesting. They're basically saying they think they have the best 3 years in Call of Duty history, which would be basically, I'm guessing it wouldn't include Infinite Warfare, so I'm thinking it's going to be World War II, then this next game by Treyarch, which hopefully is Black Ops 4, and then the next Infinity War game. If they don't mess that up, this could be 3 of the best years ever. One interesting thing to talk about this statement and what they've been talking about is they didn't confirm whether the game this year is going to be boots on the ground, traditional combat, or advanced movement. Everyone is assuming it's going to be boots on the ground. I think it's safe to say you can bet on that. But last year, remember, there was a big debate about that, and they made sure at this time to mention that it was traditional combat. But that was because all of the hate on Infinite Warfare for the jetpacks. I think for this year, it's pretty obvious it's going to be boots on the ground after the success of World War II. Or even if they did some sort of movement system, it wouldn't be flying around jetpacks because that would instantly put hate onto this game. But overall, this statement basically says that Call of Duty is in a good place, and I agree with most of this. I think Call of Duty is still growing. It's still in a good place. Of course, some people that played back in the day don't play anymore, but there's always new people coming to Call of Duty, and I don't think that those people who say, Call of Duty's dead, Call of Duty's dead, just because it's dead to a certain person because you've moved on and stopped playing, or, you've grown up and moved on to other games, doesn't mean that it's a dead game, especially when the numbers they're doing. I mean, they made like 500 million in sales in the first month, I think it was, or first something or rather, when World War II came out. World War II is a very, very successful game. Some people love it, some people hate it. I think it's a fairly strong game, and I'm happy to have that boots on the ground. And if the signs are correct and pointing towards Black Ops 4, or at least a strong Treyarch game, and another strong year of DLC this year, I think this could be really, really great. One more side point that they said, basically, is that they basically said that in regards to the DLC, they said that Activision Blizzard says they expect in-game sales to double in 2018 after 2017's record revenue, which means that they probably have some stuff on deck for Call of Duty World War II, because as of right now, I can't imagine the supply drops are selling too hot. I mean, the system is pretty bad, and to double what they did in 2017, that would be, you know, very impressive. So I think they got some things on deck for the supply drop system and for DLC this summer coming up with World War II. A bunch of other interesting stuff, but definitely hope you guys did enjoy this video. Let me know what you guys think about this info. I think it all sounds good, and the signs are pointing towards a great year and a great couple of years in Call of Duty. I'm still a huge fan of the franchise, and I think they've been doing great with World War II. And if this next game is good, it would be on a roll, and it would be really awesome. So subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. Sub for Cookie and Lucky. Drop a like, and I'm out. Peace.